So Barack Obama is thrilled with the progress we've been making, ladies and gentlemen, on the debt and the deficits, which are threatening the very existence of this society and all the liberties and rights that go with it. But he's happy with the progress he's making. What progress, you may ask? I don't know. The man's delusional. Mr. Producer, he wrote fairly extensively that he abused drugs for some time during the earlier part in his life, as I recall. He wrote that. I'm not making the accusation. It's a fact. You don't think that's had a lasting impact, have you? Oh, perish the thought. But anyway, Obama gave a weekly address on Saturday. So here's Obama Saturday praising himself, and the Republicans, of course, for slashing the debt. Cut one, go. Go ahead, Mr. Producer.
Over the last few years, Democrats and Republicans have come together and cut our deficit by more than $2.5 trillion through a balanced mix of spending cuts and higher tax rates for the wealthiest Americans.
Stop. Now, this is flat-out fraud. Nothing's been cut, ladies and gentlemen. Taxes have been increased, but nothing has been cut. Nothing. Now, we know the Defense Department's been cut, but that's not what I mean. Overall federal spending has increased. So our President Maddow, our President Ponzi, maybe I'll call him that for now on, depends what mood I'm in. It's not Maddow, it's Madoff. Rachel Maddow, Madoff, whatever. He's lying. Go ahead.
That's more than halfway towards the $4 trillion in deficit reductions that economists and elected officials from both parties say we need to stabilize our debt.
Let's stop. See, what's interesting about this, it's serial lying even about the same numbers. We have not cut federal spending by $2.5 trillion over 10 years, over 10 months, over 10 days. That's number one. Number two, we're halfway towards a $4 trillion deficit reduction. There's no deficit reduction. $4 trillion, that's more than halfway towards the $4 trillion in deficit reduction. Let me stop there and make a technical point. The deficit has come to be used to describe the yearly difference between revenue and spending. The debt is characterized as the accumulation of these deficits. So he's not even speaking correctly in Washington speak. But that's just a minor point. So we're more than halfway towards the $4 trillion in deficit reduction. $4 trillion when? Oh, over 10 years. Oh, so we're cutting $400 billion over 10 years? Well, how can that be when the budget keeps going up? How can that be when the borrowing continues? How can that be when the yearly deficits keep going up? Because it's not, ladies and gentlemen. They've cut dog crap. But it sounds big. You know, people out there, the drones as I call them, they're listening. They're going, wow, we've cut $2.5 trillion, a balanced mix of cuts and tax increases on the rich. And we're more than halfway towards the $4 trillion cut. This president's working very hard, man, I'll tell you what. And he's right. No more cuts. We don't want to hurt the children, education, investments, the bridges. We don't want to do that, do we? When, in fact, in 2012, fiscal operations and unfunded liabilities, I've discussed in the first hour, $6.9 trillion deficit in 1 year. Oh, but we're halfway to our goal. This is why people some of whom wish to comprehend what's going on, can't. Because unless you spend weeks going through the data, which is exactly what I did, and decided to present it to you in the first hour, weeks going through the Social Security Trustees report, weeks going through the Medicare and Medicaid Trustees report, weeks going through the GAO reports, weeks going through the CBO reports, looking into the history of the federal income tax, the history of the Federal Reserve, unless you spend the time to go through it, because that first hour didn't just happen. I didn't get it from some columnist. You're not going to know this stuff. And so when Obama goes on national TV, people who aren't paying attention, and he goes on and he says, look, I've already cut $2.5 trillion through spending cuts and taxes on the rich, we're more than halfway towards a $4 trillion reduction. People are saying, wow, we're really, he's really working hard. He is a moderate guy. And those damn Republicans, look at them. That begins to create a problem, doesn't it? So now we have this so-called sequester in place, a Washington term. In August of 2011, in order to get past the deficit ceiling issue at that time, Obama's aides, because Obama comes up with nothing. Obama's aides come up with this sequester. They say, we have a great idea. If we can't agree to some kind of compromise, by the next time we hit this ceiling, in other words, rather than just reducing spending, they can't do that, of course, because, we need these $6-7 trillion yearly deficits. I have an idea. We'll have what's called a sequester, an automatic cut. 5% from domestic spending, 50% from domestic spending, 50% from defense. Wow, that sounds even, but it's not. 18% of fiscal operating budget is defense. 18%. So you're taking 50% of the deficit cut that you're claiming you want to make out of defense, which is 18% of the budget. Because Obama says, this is how I'll screw the Republicans. Now, what kind of an idiot would go along with that? Well, the Speaker of the House, John Boehner, he thought it was a great idea. The idiots at the Wall Street Journal, they thought it was a great idea. And some of the idiots at the Weekly Standard at the time, they thought it was a rousing, brilliant idea. And we Tea Party conservatives, well, we're just radical extremists. Yes, we rejected this. Well, we must be a radical extremist out of the mainstream, So anyway, this is where we are today. So John McCain, who, as many of you may not know, but I have a very long memory, who originally was opposed to the Bush tax cuts because he said, we should not be balancing budgets on the backs of the poor. Yes, that was John McCain in a full Marxist slogan. There he was. Sorry, that's what he said. Now, of course, he says he defends them. He's already showing shaky knees. And this is the problem, ladies and gentlemen. The Democrats never buckle. They're very good Marxists. They line up and they don't move. The Republicans, they can't wait to buckle. Even a tough guy war hero like John McCain, he's ready to buckle, baby, because of the defense spending cuts. Now, of course, I want you to keep in mind that Obama's designs on the Defense Department and national security, sequester or no sequester, are diabolical. He wants to gut the Defense Department because his entire life he's hated the American military. The military-industrial complex. We Americans who seek to colonize the world with our imperial designs, he's hated the military. Now he's president. It's his chance to get back at them. And camouflage it all as being compassionate because we need more money for education. By the way, what does that mean? We need more money for education. Well, honestly, what he means is more money for the teachers' union. Well, no, education. No, it's the teachers' union. All right, but anyway. So here's John McCain, ladies and gentlemen, on Fox News Sunday. Cut 4, go.
And a lot of us, in fact, Lindsey Graham, Kelly Ayotte, and I were traveling around the country warning.
All right, slow down. He's all worked up there. I don't know why. Lindsey Graham and Kelly Ayotte. This McCain in the Senate, he has these little groupies. He has these groupies. Lindsey Graham, we know where he has his head. And Kelly Ayotte of New Hampshire, she's part of the groupie apparatus now for McCain. These three, they just keep traveling around together. Hey, look at us. We're having a press conference. We're the three. Anyway, let's start from the beginning. Just wanted to note that. Cut 4, go.
And a lot of us, in fact, Lindsey Graham, Kelly Ayotte, and I were traveling around the country warning about what was going to happen as a result of sequestration, and it is devastating. The world is very dangerous. I'm sorry I'm a little emotional about this, but the men and women serving in the military deserve better than what we're giving them. They don't know what they're going to be doing tomorrow. We just delayed the deployment of an aircraft carrier. The cuts are coming across the board. The consequences are severe. It requires bipartisanship. Would I look at some revenue closers? Maybe so. But we've already just raised taxes. Why do we have to raise taxes again?
I don't know where to begin. Revenue closers? Is this a brand new phrase, Mr. Producer? Hey, look, we're looking for revenue closers. We really are. I mean, we got to have these revenue closers to make investments in order to modernize this, that, and the other. Now, even though he says, why do we have to raise taxes? We've already just raised taxes. He says, I'll look at revenue closers. This requires bipartisanship. Bipartisanship? Why would you make nice with a president who's trying to destroy so much of what you believe in? Why don't you just oppose him? Ladies and gentlemen, the only way there will be cuts in this budget, and by cuts I mean minuscule cuts, really tweaking what's going on, if you listen to the first hour, is through this sequester. There won't be any other quote-unquote cuts under this president. This is it. And he already wants to destroy the United States military. That's a fact. Any Republican who doesn't support the sequester, as bad as it is for the military, and I am very sorry about that, but you can thank John Boehner and all the other Republicans who supported this. We can't turn back from this. The Democrats are demanding more tax increases. If the Democrats could turn the private sector into the public sector tomorrow, they would do it. And people ask me all the time, why? Don't they see what's going on? Because, ladies and gentlemen, it's about power and money. The Democrats do not become more powerful and do not win elections by promoting liberty and private property rights and capitalism. They can't win elections that way. They're the party of government. And government needs the Democrat Party to continue to feed itself and its insatiable appetite. As I've said, they're one and the same. They're inseparable. That's why the Democrat Party is never going to change course. And rather than seeking bipartisan solutions, rather than negotiating with this, by God, for once, just say no.
Mark Levin.